Hi students, today let's tackle on the difference between psychosexual theory, cognitive development theory, and psychosocial theory. All right, let's start with psychosexual theory. Okay, so the proponent of this theory is no less than Sigmund Freud. Okay, the very controversial theory. So according to Freud, there are five stages of child development. Okay, the first one, he called this oral stage. Second one, we have anal stage. Third, we have phallic. And the fourth one, we have latency. And then the last one, we have the genital stage. All right. So for the oral stage, there is what we call the age range. In the second column, we have here from 0 to 1 year old wherein children derive pleasure from oral activities, including sucking and tasting, and they like to put things in their mouth. All right, and we have the anal that's from 2 to 3 years old. Children begin potty training. And then for phallic, that's from 3 to 6 year old, wherein boys are more attached to their mother and girls are more attached to their father. That's according to Freud. And then the fourth stage is age 6 years old to puberty, where children spend more time and interact mostly with their same sex peers. And then the genital stage, that's beyond puberty. Individuals are attracted to the opposite sex peers, according to Freud. So let's have this one, the first stage. So we call this oral stage, all right? So at this point in development, a child primary source of pleasure is through mouth via sucking, eating, and tasting. Okay. So problems with this stage can result in what Freud referred to oral fixation. Okay. And then the anal stage, this stage, children gain a sense of mastery and competence by controlling bladder and bowel movements. And then for the phallic stage, libido's energy is focused on the genitals. That's according to him. And children become aware of their anatomical sex differences, which leads boys to experience the Oedipus complex, while girls experience the Electra complex. Okay. We will talk about the differences, the difference between the two in our next lesson. All right. So for the fourth stage, libido's energy is suppressed, and children focus more on the other activities such as school, friends, and hobbies. And then the fifth stage of psychosexual development is known as genital stage. All right. So it is the time when adolescents begin to explore romantic relationships. And according to Freud, the goal of this stage is to develop a sense of balance between all areas of life. And children's pleasure seeking urge are focused on different area of the body called erogenous zone at each of the five stages of development. I'm sorry, oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. All right. So disregard the period. It's at what you call end. Okay. Typographical error. Okay. So while most of Freud's ideas have not found support in modern research, okay, they find it very controversial. No, a lot of the psychologists disregard Freud's ideas. We cannot discount the contributions that Freud has made to the field of psychology. Okay, so psychologists today dispute Freud's psychosexual stages as a legitimate explanation for how one's personality develops. But what we can take away from Freud's theory is that personality is shaped in some part by experiences we have in childhood. Then let's move on to the next theory, that's the Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. Okay, so you have there 8. The first stage is trust versus mistrust. That's from infant. Then we have autonomy versus shame and doubt. That's for toddler. Initiative versus guilt. We call this preschooler stage. And then industry versus inferiority. That's a grade schooler stage. We have here the age range. And identity versus role confusion. That's for the teenager stage. Intimacy versus isolation. Young adult stage. Generability generativity versus stagnation. That's the middle-aged adult, and then integrity versus despair. That's for older adult. Okay, so the first stage. Okay, so during this stage, children learn to either trust or mistrust their caregivers, the mother, no, the nanny. The care that adults provide determines whether children develop a sense of trust in the world around them. And then the second stage, during the stage, children become more mobile. They develop self-sufficiency by controlling activities such as eating, toilet training, and talking. And then the third one, the stage is children begin to take more control over their environment. They begin to interact with other children and develop their interpersonal skills. And then for the fourth stage, children develop a sense of competence by mastering new skills like writing and reading on their own. The fifth stage, Erikson took lifespan approach, believing that development continues even in old age. His theory includes the three additional stages that span adulthood. So there are three. So we have here. Okay. So young adults seek out romantic love and companionship. That's intimacy versus isolation. And then middle-aged adults nurture others and contribute to society. That's for the generativity and stagnation. And then integrity versus despair, wherein older adults reflect on their lives, looking back with a sense of fulfillment or even bitterness. Now, Freud's and Erikson's theories of development share a number of important similarities. Both stress the importance of social experiences and recognized the role that childhood plays in shaping adult personality. Unlike Freud's psychosexual approach, Erikson's psychosocial stage theory took a more expansive view of development, encompassing childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. While Freud believed that development was largely complete fairly on, Erikson felt that it was a process that continued throughout the entire course of a person's life. Okay, and let's move on to the third stage. That's Piaget's stages of cognitive development. All right. So we have here the first development, sensory motor stage. Second one, pre-operational stage. Third one, concrete operational stage. And the last one, we have formal operational stage. All right. So that's from birth to 2 years old. There are different characteristics with this stage. All right. So the children know the world around them through their movements and sensations. And children learn about the world through basic actions such as sucking, grasping, looking, and listening. And also, children learn that things continue to exist even when they cannot be seen. Okay? They realize that they are separate beings from the people and objects around them, and even realize that their actions can cause things to happen in the world around them. Okay. For a pre-operational stage, that's from 2 to 7 years old. Okay. So here, children begin to think symbolically and learn to use words, pictures, and represent objects, and tend to be egocentric and struggle to see things from the perspective of others, and getting better with language and thinking, but still tend to think in a very concrete terms. Okay. And then for the concrete operational stage, here children think logically about concrete events and then understand concepts of conservation. That amount of liquid in a short, wide cup is equal to that in a tall, skinny glass, and then so on. And then their thinking becomes logical and organized, but still very concrete. And they learn using inductive logic, thinking and reasoning from specific information to a general principle. Okay. And then for the formal operational stage, uh, children begin to think abstractly and reason out hypothetical problems. And then they begin to think more about moral, philosophical, ethical, social, and political issues that require theoretical and abstract reasoning. And children also begin to use deductive logic or reasoning from general specific principle to specific information. Now, Piaget's theory of cognitive development helped add to our understanding of children's intellectual growth as teachers. It is also stressed that children were not merely passive recipients of knowledge. Instead, kids are constantly investigating and experimenting as they build their understanding of how world works. And then my reflections to three theories. Number one is that Sigmund Freud's theory makes parents realize the essence of recognizing unconscious motivation in children. Okay? And theory emphasizes the essence of childhood experience in modeling future adults. Okay? And the theory acts as raw materials for parenting practices and psychosexual implications, and at the same time, providing theoretical framework for solving the libido and desires at different stages. And teachers here help assess the child development as they grow. And the second theory, the Erikson's theory, the psychosocial theory, is that that theory itself helps teachers and parents help children fulfill their expectations. It promotes industry among children through the welcoming environment provision, encourage parents and teachers to develop positive relationships with kids during adolescence in order to mentor them and also working as role models. All right? So, very challenging among us teachers and, of course, to the parents. And the last one, the child cognitive development theory. Um, Piaget goes contrary to what people thought, no? Years back, that childhood thoughts were similar to those of adults. He concludes that the way children think and perceive information is totally different from what grown ups think. Piaget lays great focus on psychological ideals like egocentrism, accommodation, schema, and assimilation while building his theoretical approach to growth and development. His work is basically built on four distinct phases, showing changes the learners go through in growth concerning how they think about themselves in the world and the people around them. So, very challenging for us teachers to support, to guide our learners. All right? Thank you. And here are my references, the things or the ideas that I shared to you. And then we'll have more about these three developmental theories in the next lesson. Okay, thank you very much and thank you for your participation.